you heard my monologue a moment ago, I talked about the gold rush of 1896 through 98ish in Alaska. And y'all, when I say the Chilkoot Pass was rough, I could not even, I didn't have the time to do it justice in my monologue. But the Chilkoot Trail was anywhere between 28 and 30 miles on the average, and it was arduous, and it was so rough in some places that they just basically they stopped taking pack mules, because in the end the animals were often destroyed. They'd break their legs, that things would happen to them. They wind up getting eaten. So they just decided, basically it became a man's job to carry his gear or to pay somebody to pack it for him. There was no other way to do it. You couldn't drag it. You couldn't put it in a wagon. You couldn't haul it on mules. And then you get, after all of this, and there were stages, like you'd go to this certain place and you'd have a resting spot. And then there were stages after that, and you go to another place and a resting spot. And we're talking about not just like it's your turn on the trail, you might see somebody. We're talking about literally a line of people. It looks like, if you look at the pictures I'll show you in a minute, it looks like literally people going up an escalator at a department store. There's so many. And we're talking about 1,500 steps finally were cut by some entrepreneur into the side of what became known as the Chilkoot Pass. And the Chilkoot Pass, at some places, was at a 45-degree angle. And it went up for almost a mile. It raised, I want to say, like 2,500 feet during that mile. It was epic. And there were people whose entire effort to get to the gold fields failed right there on the Chilkoot Pass. But then they get to the top. And then they're in the high mountains, and the Yukon River is in the high mountains, and the Yukon River was what they had to sail to get down to Dawson, which were closer to Dawson where the actual gold fields were. And some entrepreneur, a guy named Goddard from Seattle, thought, you know what? I'll fix this. And he had 2 small steamboats made, the kind that had the stern wheel, the big paddle wheel on the back. And these weren't big. They're like the size, I want to say they were about 20 feet long when they were built, and roughly about 10 feet wide. And they could haul like 10 men plus their gear. But he had the boats built, boilers and all, and then disassembled, and then shipped up to Skagway Port in Alaska, and then hauled bit by bit, board by board, boiler by boiler, up through the mountain passes, and then put them back together up on the high mountain lakes. And it worked. This entrepreneurship didn't just make those people a lot of money cutting steps or building boats. This entrepreneurship was literally what made the gold fields more efficient, and for that matter, safer. You got these pictures? Let's do this. Let's do the golden staircase picture first. If you're watching the YouTube right now, I'm putting a picture up on the screen. And when it comes up, I'll just tell you what you're seeing is, and I got a slight delay on the one that I'm watching on my screen, but when you see the picture, what you're looking at is a long line of men that if you saw the entire picture, what you would probably see is literally hundreds, maybe 1,000 men going just, back to back to back up the mountain pass. Is that picture up yet? I can't even see it on my screen yet, so I'm just talking to it. This picture, there it is. This picture, yeah, that one, okay, you got the right one. That's a great picture there. That was literally, that's probably 1,000 men walking one after the other up the golden staircase through the Chilkoot Pass. And you can see how steep it gets there at the end. You see that thing, man? Can you imagine? There were times it says that when the snow melted, that the people were actually having to go up the hill on their hands and knees because it was so steep. Unbelievable. And they're carrying, every time they went, they were carrying packs of 80 to 100 pounds or more. And then sometimes they paid these like Sherpa guides but they were Native Americans in the area to carry for them. But you had to have the money to do that. And you would get up there, and the Canadian government had a mandate, which was a good mandate, had a mandate that every man had to have at least 1,500 pounds of gear. And so what that meant was you were going to make this trip 15 times on the average, just to get your gear up. And they had a place up there called the scales where they would weigh it, and they would see what you were bringing. And then they would tell you that you did or did not have enough, and you would have a place where you could stow your gear until you got it all together, and then you had to find a way to get it forward from there. So there's the golden staircase. How crazy is that? And then show the next picture. The next picture is going to come up on the screen. This is, so A.B. Goddard.
Just one second, let me pull it up real quick.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm talking. Just, go do your thing, man. A guy named A.B. Goddard from Seattle. I'm fascinated by history, but this is a great story too. It's entrepreneurship, it's private sector work at its best. A.B. Goddard was an entrepreneur in Seattle who heard about the gold rush, and his thought was not, hey, let me go get some gold. His thought was, I'm going to make a lot of money by helping the other people get gold. And so he took these two boats, he had them built and he took them apart and literally packed them up into the mountains and put them back together. Y'all, that's on top of the 1,500 pounds he had to get up there. There it is. He named his first boat after himself. It's the A.B. Goddard. And you can see a picture of it on the screen right now. And the A.B. Goddard plied those waters. And listen, when it went up and down the rivers, sometimes it was calm water. Sometimes they had to shoot rapids. Other times it was going around shoals and sandbars and dodging ice flows. And it actually sank. The A.B. Goddard and its sister ship both sailed the waters for 2 to 3 years. The gold rush only lasted about 2 years. And when the A.B. Goddard sank in 1901, it was found in 2008. They actually found it with a lot of historical artifacts still on it. The boiler still intact underwater, and it became an archaeological spot as they pulled it up. That's 1898 right there. Can you imagine what it took to carry that thing up the mountain? I mean, in pieces, but still.
That is true entrepreneurship right there, though. Like you said,
It's crazy. That's America right there, man. I'm just telling you. That's America.